You've probably heard of entitled neighbors and HOA Karens before, but what happens when one takes things way too far? My wife and I moved into what we thought was a peaceful neighborhood, only to discover that Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA, was willing to cross every line to get her way. And when she couldn't control us with threats, she sent a gang of biker thugs to our doorstep. But she had no idea who she was messing with. It all started when my wife and I bought a nice little ranch-style home with a big yard. We worked hard for it, and it was our dream spot. But Karen, the HOA president, made it clear from day one that we weren't her kind of people. She didn't like that we didn't attend our HOA meetings, that we parked our truck in the driveway instead of the garage, and that my wife refused to bow down to her petty rules. One evening, my wife parked our truck in front of the house for just a few hours. Within minutes, Karen stormed over, screaming about violations and threatening fines. My wife stood her ground and told Karen to back off. Karen didn't take rejection well. Over the next few weeks, Karen doubled down. She sent passive-aggressive letters. She made snide comments at neighbors' barbecues. She even tried to fine us for having unapproved flowers in our front yard. But my wife? She doesn't bend to bullies. She laughed off Karen's threats and told her flat out, "If you want to fight, bring it." That's when Karen did the unthinkable. Late one Friday night, while I was inside watching TV, I heard the low rumble of motorcycle engines outside. My wife peeked through the blinds, and there they were, a crew of leather-clad bikers pulling up in front of our house. Karen was across the street, smirking like she'd won. The bikers dismounted and stomped toward our porch. One of them growled, "Karen says you've been causing trouble. Time to teach you some respect." My wife didn't even flinch. She calmly crossed her arms and said, "You've got the wrong house." They sneered and laughed. But what Karen and her biker buddies didn't know was that my wife isn't just tough. She's also a decorated self-defense instructor who trains law enforcement officers. When the first biker tried to step onto our porch, my wife snapped into action. In seconds, she twisted his arm, flipped him over, and pinned him to the ground. The other bikers froze. One charged forward, but he quickly joined his friend on the ground, groaning in pain. Within 3 minutes, the so-called tough guys were begging her to let them go. Across the street, Karen's smug grin melted into pure horror. She had expected a beatdown, but instead, her hired muscle was humiliated. My wife stood over them, calm as ever, and said, "Go back to whoever sent you and tell her this. We don't scare easy." The bikers scrambled back to their bikes, nursing bruises and avoiding eye contact. Before they sped off, one of them muttered, "Sorry, ma'am. We didn't know." Karen's jaw dropped. Her plan had completely backfired. The very next morning, Karen tried to play the victim. She called an emergency HOA meeting, claiming we had attacked innocent visitors. But word had already spread through the neighborhood. Everyone had heard the rumble of the bikes, the shouting, and the thuds. And several neighbors had recorded the whole thing from their windows. The video showed the bikers threatening us, and my wife defending our home. By the time Karen tried to spin her story, the evidence was already circulating in the community group chat. Instead of sympathy, Karen got silence and glares. From that day forward, Karen stopped showing up on our property. The HOA still exists, but its queen bee lost her sting. And the best part, a few weeks later, one of those bikers actually showed up at our door, not for revenge, but to apologize. He admitted Karen had lied to them, and he even offered us free motorcycle repair services as a peace offering. As for Karen, well, let's just say she learned a lesson that night. If you send trouble to someone else's doorstep, you better be ready for what comes back. Because sometimes, the people you think are weak are stronger than you could ever imagine.